Okay then guys, what's going on? Cloud Plays here and welcome back to another video here on the channel. Today we're inside of Starfield where we have got some interesting news for you guys. Don't get me twisted, no updates on any patches as of right now, but some very interesting lines coming from the Starfield developers and former Starfield developers that are pretty damn interesting to say the least. So with that being said, if you haven't already, smash that beautiful blue thumbs up and subscribe, post notifications turned on, it'd be greatly appreciated. And also check out our sponsor for today's video, Advanced GG, the #1 clinically proven energy supplement on the market. My favorite flavor, cherry vanilla, but you guys can catch an array of flavors via the link in the description, and using code CLOUD at checkout will get you a cheeky discount. Now with that being said, let's dive on in to today's video. So starting off, Starfield dev suggests smaller may have been better. Now, Bethesda veteran Bruce Nesmith explains that game development is all about making hard choices. Now, this actual statement as an overall, that smaller may have been better, I solidly agree with this game. I feel like the individuality would have actually stemmed quite heavily inside of it had they have gone for a little bit of a smaller movement. Now, in this article from Kotaku, it states, if while exploring Starfield's vast planet-filled galaxy, you felt at times that its size and sheer number of possible destinations may actually be too much for the game's own good, well, it sounds like some folks who were part of the development team may agree with you. Hindsight is 20/20 after all. Starfield is around 1,000 procedurally generated planets to explore, and there are definitely some interesting areas to find, but much of that terrain feels largely empty. In an interview with MinMax, former Bethesda employee Bruce Nesmith, who worked on Starfield as senior systems designer, talked about the decisions to make Starfield's galaxy so massive, as opposed to smaller and more focused in scope. Now, in the interview, Nesmith said that the players' expectations around the size of Bethesda's open world games influenced the team to opt for this approach. Now, the argument was made that once the team had successfully established the foundation of the game's design philosophy in one solar system, replicating those ideas across dozens more wouldn't add to the workload too much. Now, game director Todd Howard pretty much pulled the number of 100 out of thin air, which we've spoken about previously, but Nesmith actually went on to describe how developing Starfield, like any other game, was about making compromises to the original version, and that meant more crafted areas came at the expense of player freedom and exploration, such as allowing you to build your own starcraft and traverse a huge expansive galaxy. While the space is bigger, Nesmith says that this may have come at the expense of more meaningful things to find within. He states that solidly, I think that some of the exploration stuff didn't come through as well as it could have because they decided to make other choices. And never misunderstand this, in every game studio on the face of this planet, they know the choices they're making, and they know that the things that are not going to be in there. They know what the players are going to moan about, but you got to make the hard choice. Now, this is an extremely big eye-opener for me personally, because the fact that this could have been a lot more immersive and a lot more enjoyable with the smaller realms, I genuinely believe that that could have been the case. Having it so expansive and so large does mean that there is a lot more dead space, whereas I would have much preferred a game at half the size, but every 10 steps something was happening, whether it was an actual life inside of the cities, inside of the planets themselves, whether there was wildlife absolutely everywhere, things were moving around, and it was just a lot more immersive. I would have much preferred that over what we were actually left with, which was a bit of a shell on the outside of some pretty cool details. Now, this isn't their fault though, because former Starfield dev says that decisions in Bethesda's RPGs run through Todd Howard. Now, he would hate me for saying that, and he doesn't believe it's true, but unfortunately it is true. Now, Bruce Nesmith yet again reminisced on his long career inside of the studio before leaving, where he began work on Daggerfall, graduated to become the lead designer of Skyrim, and then eventually contributed towards Starfield before leaving to become a novelist. Now, the success of several Bethesda-produced games meant that the team enlarged to a slightly uncomfortable size, according to Nesmith, which partially contributed to his leaving. There were lots of changes going on, and the structure of the company also was such that half because of the pandemic and half just because of the necessary changes, you didn't get to interact with Todd as much anymore. Now, when you are running 6 different studios and you've got a dozen projects going on at the same time, he's only one man. But despite the lines of communication becoming a lot more rigid, Howard supposedly had the final say on most creative decisions. Now, all decisions run through Todd, and he would have obviously hated that one, but it is completely true. But unfortunately, anything different than the Bethesda usual, they would have to get the idea in front of him, which, as they state, is obviously a really difficult part. Now, apparently, the Bethesda director, Todd Howard, was actually able to put himself in front of the seat of your everyday player to a far better extent than the rest of the design team, and he was essentially like the last say guy. So I think that a lot of the bad decisions, we now have somebody to blame for it. I'm completely joking, but it is nice to know that Todd Howard is really immersed inside of his own game developments, although knowing full well that we're probably in the last couple of games left for Todd Howard, it does lead to kind of question what games we'll be getting going forward after Todd Howard actually produces the final Skyrim and the final Fallout. After that point, are we still going to see that game franchises flourish, and are we going to see another Starfield come to fruition? And if they do, how will they turn out? Because essentially, if Todd Howard's got the helm at point, then this could be a really sketchy future for Bethesda, to say the least. But something that is pretty damn cool is this right here, the Star Station outposts discovered in the game's files and unlocked with a mod. Now, as you can see via the images on screen, this thing looks absolutely incredible, and it really is cool to kind of know that we can start building on a Star Station outposts. Now, is this something that was always in the game? I am completely unsure. But for me personally, building your own star station, seeing your fleet of ships coming and going, assigning crews and ships on missions, this would be absolutely incredible and a really cool point to put into there. And not only that, but get the trade authority or independent vendors and build a trade hub to complete with the key. It'd be absolutely insane if we were able to have this Star Station outpost and build essentially our own city in the star system. Would be absolutely amazing. And if this isn't something that they're working on, which is why they're in the game files, it should be something that they definitely look at working on in the future. Now, why is it so heavy on that? Because realistically, the main cities, the main planets, the main central hubs, if you want to call them that, are just bloody dead. And this Reddit post right here solidifies that quite greatly with saying 200 hours plus, and I just noticed that the buildings don't ever turn their lights on at night. Now, that is ridiculous. That is a very simple motive that makes the city seem like they're lived in, makes the cities seem like they actually are alive somewhat, and they are actually a city. Because there's no city on the planet that at the end of the day and hitting the night period, do lights come on and make everything look really cool within the central mainframes of most main cities. This right here is dead as a doornail, and it is actually really frustrating because I didn't even notice this to begin with, but now that I've seen this, I can't unsee it. And if I have to see it and not unsee it, well then damn right you guys will have to do the same thing with me. It's really disappointing, but it'd be really cool if we were able to make our own place and make it how we wanted to really make it, and a star station would be the best way to interpret that, in my personal opinion. Now, that's all we got time for today, though. If you haven't already, smash that beautiful blue thumbs up and subscribe with post notifications turned on. It'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much again for watching, guys. Appreciate your faces, and as always, up until the next time, I'll see you in the clouds.